RAGBRAI.
Okay.
No, I have a chance to go.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Ham. Here. Toohill.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Council, you have any changes to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll go on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the March 25th, 2024 special council meeting. Approval of the minutes of the March 25th, 2024 regular council meeting. Approval of the March 29th, 2024 payroll in the amount of $158,649.09. Resolution of employment for Parks and Recreation Department. Resolution of employment classification in the wastewater department. Acceptance of beautification commission minutes. Acceptance of the library board minutes. Acceptance of the Carnegie Historical Museum minutes. Acceptance of the Fairfield Volunteer Center Committee minutes. Approval of liquor license for Ryzen Wine Bar LLC, additional location at 400 North 2nd. Approval of Iowa Department of Revenue ACH payment in the amount of $28,255.48. Approval of total claims in the amount of $609,884.92. We had two claims more than $75,000. One was Asuda Development Corporation, $270,000. This is the grant that's going to come through the state for the building that's on the north side of the square. Downtown Housing Grant, thank you. So if you recall, this was worked on a year ago, 2 years ago maybe, and
That's 51 West Broadway, is that what it is?
yes, and so Tom and I went through all of the invoices and audited them, and then this last, I guess was Friday? Rebecca and I again went through what's out on the system to verify that we had the same invoices, and so we're ready to cut the check. RSM company will audit everything that's been uploaded into that system, and then when they give their go-ahead, we'll give Suda Development Najah our check, and then the state will reimburse us for this $270,000. Okay, so we did go through pretty rigorous audit process, and then it will be audited again by the state's auditor. And then there's Wix Construction of $109,229.15.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or discussion?
Do we know? Sorry, I just have a question. 400 North 2nd Street, is it on like a map? Where is that? It's not on Beacon.
The old Harper Brush building.
Got it.
That's
Thank
the,
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Speak up.
The old Harper Brush building.
I didn't realize they have a...
She has a setup in there. Isn't
Just recently, I presume.
Yeah.
it? She's had it there for a year. This is a renewal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been in there for quite a while. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, that's
mostly-
right, it has been. I
Yeah,
don't
you just
remember.
buy it off.
I see the bottles of wine there.
Yeah.
Okay,
You pay for them, Dad.
yeah. Any comments, Chair, Ways and Means? No? Okay.
Oh, I did review. I'm sorry. I did review invoices and everything seemed in order.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Any questions on the Suda Development? I know that's an unusual one.
How's that going? And maybe she could speak to the council at some point as to its progress or status.
I think, it's been going well.
What was the basis for getting the grant?
Creating housing downtown?
Just housing?
Yeah.
It's a housing grant?
Yes, it's a
not
housing
his-
grant.
Not historical or anything special, just a
Yes.
straight up housing grant?
Yeah. And I think it's going to be, I saw it when it was completely bare bones. And you could clear see from the front to the back of the building. And looked to me like it was going to be impressive and a really nice building once it's done. Nice apartments or condos to rent or purchase.
Is there some special qualifications that they had that allowed them to get the grant, that other buildings don't get grants?
Well, they had to have matching funds. I mean, that's one of the big things I remember.
Okay.
So I'm sure she'll give us a tour when it's all done,
Mhm.
if we ask for it. And maybe when she's getting closer to completion, which I think that will be this summer.
Oh, good.
So,
That'd be great.
okay. So we got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. So I guess go ahead and call the roll.
Gandy,
Yes, except I'm going to abstain from the approving the minutes for the special council meeting on March 25th. I wasn't present.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Great, thank you. We have two public appearances tonight. Bob Ferguson on Smart 21. Go ahead, Bob.
I have for everyone. I ran out of ink, otherwise I would have had more of the full top 7 that we did for last year, but here's one, I think, for all of the council members and one for everyone else to share. So I think I was here last year when we were designated one of the Smart 21 cities in the world, and I think competing on about 450 cities around the world. And they saw fit to include us again this year. And I think that they want to encourage smaller communities. So I think we have a very favorable position for making the top 7 this year. Now the large one that Judy has, everyone can take a look at it, or I'll be happy to send an email, a file to you, Connie. You can get around to everyone. We didn't win last year, but they liked the application enough that they actually invited me to come to New York City to present about Fairfield to the Global Summit. And it was a hit. People were really astonished at what we were doing, and people from Taiwan and Hong Kong and not Hong Kong, Taiwan and Vietnam and Holland and Canada and Australia. It's unusual. We get used to it because this is just who we are, but it's unusual to the rest of the world to have a town of 10,000 that does what we do. And yet, my belief is that we can be even better. We can build on what we have done, and we can do even more. So I'm going to be working with, Paul and I had a very detailed conversation the other day. I just wanted to come at Connie's behest to just have everyone understand what it is we're up to. I'll be working with Paul and with Ed and Mindy and Connie and whoever else wants to, jump in. If you read that, read the little blank application, and you can think of something that we should really include this, and let Paul know. And we'll pull all of the projects together that the best minds can come up with. And then maybe when we have the list, perhaps I'll come back and just talk with everyone about, here are the projects that we're thinking of. Did we miss something? And we put the thing together and we send it off. We don't have much time. The deadline is the 6th of May. So we're going to do this right away.
So Bob, did you have to put in another application for this year? Or did you just use the same one or added a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing like the lift of last year.
Right?
We copy pasted and then I updated what we could. There is quite a bit in that historic in the one that we did last year for Ed. I had Ed, we're going to go over the 2003 economic development plan. And I said, I want to go through every objective and either get completed, in process, or abandoned. So it took us 3 hours to get through it all. But what was really astonishing to me, and I think to some of the founders, is that all of the major elements of that plan have been accomplished. Most of the secondary elements, some of the tertiary things that were sort of de rigueur in the day, didn't happen. But virtually everything was done. And I think that really impressed them as we're a town that says what we're going to do, and then we do it.
And one of the things that we talked about was referring this to Economic Development Committee. Do you
Right.
still want to make that happen?
Yeah, I did a good conversation with Bob the other day, but I think it makes sense to have this reviewed and supported by the city, full city, and I think the best way
Oh,
to
absolutely.
do that is through the Economic Development Committee. Refer it to that committee,
Yeah.
which I'm a member, and let's look at it carefully and do some work with
And,
you.
you know, I will leave it to you to draw to me what you need from me. But you have the, yeah, and, yeah, so we'll pull all of the economic development folks in, Ed and Mindy, and Faith is gonna support us from her sustainability perch. But yeah, I'm here to support. I'll be happy to collate everything. But I really want the full intelligence of the town focused on this, because I think if we do it right, I think we can make top 7. And if we don't make it this year, we'll make it the next year. If we don't make it the next year, we'll make it the next year.
Great. Thanks, Bob, for
Good,
all
thank
your
you.
work. I know you have lots of passion for it, and do you want to make an official
Yeah, I'd like to
motion?
move that we refer this initiative to the Economic Development Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay, great.
Thank you, Connie. And thank you.
We'll call a meeting and you guys can get started on it. Good. Terry Baker. He's gonna tell us about the party.
Terry brings the party.
Well, she's dressed appropriately, aren't you?
Right. I spent the entire day Saturday meeting with folks from RAGBRAI, finding out what we're in for, which was a little bit more than I thought we were bargaining for. But we've been informed that we are a meeting stop for RAGBRAI this summer, which means that we get the service vehicles along with the bike riders. And they come early, about 7 o'clock in the morning. They're here until 1:30. We're supposed to shut off anything we're doing at 1:30 in the afternoon so that they start moving on to the next town. So we are not an overnight. We're simply here as kind of like a lunch stop. So this will involve many of the things that we did in 2019 with vendors and lots of entertainment and that sort of thing, with a smaller budget and with the idea that we are sending them on their way to go party in Mount Pleasant. What I have put before you is just a reservation of the downtown area, similar to what we did in 2019, expecting that's probably what we'll be doing. We do have a group that is meeting on Wednesday to determine the exact route that we want people to come into town, and where we're gonna take them. We're kind of assuming that we're gonna bring them into the downtown to help support some of our merchants and restaurants and so forth. But that could change depending on what the group decides in terms of how we route them through. They will-
I guess we choose the route when they come in Fairfield?
So they will be in Libertyville, and then they will come to Fairfield, and from Fairfield they go to Pleasant Plain. So we choose the route, how they're gonna come from Libertyville, and I know the county engineers worked on some of that, but how they come actually entering into Fairfield in our airspace, and then how they're going to exit. The nice thing is that they're taking them north, so we don't have to worry about what's happening on the east side of town with construction, so that's a big relief.
And are we expecting even 20,000? What's the estimate of how many actually come?
So they
to the
they
town?
estimate having about 20,000 bike riders.
And all of them will be coming through Fairfield?
Then how many support people?
Then there's about 3,000 support vehicles, so that's anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 individuals.
Additionally.
Now, some may choose to
That's-
continue, move on, not spend a lot of time. There's going to be different things. It kind of depends on what we plan for them to do. We've been told that the bigger, nicer your party is, the more they want to stay. So if we don't want them to stay, we don't do a whole lot. Like, there's a lot of things that we have to do with the planning. Yes.
So on this map, are you indicating you want to close that Burlington at the two corners?
That's what we did in 2019
Yeah, I
to
remember
accommodate,
that.
and we tried to we have to keep Highway 1 open, obviously. But we did, I think we routed actually traffic down from maybe B Street down to Washington to get at the actual car traffic. So there's a few refinements we may have to make in this as we move along, but I just wanted to get the reservation in and make sure that everyone's aware of kind of what we've got going on.
So what do you want from us tonight? Just to reserve the square
Yes.
without the
please.
details of blocking roads?
Yeah, so we'll definitely need to be blocking some roads and knowing that this is gonna be
But-
pedestrian heavy.
But that'd be later. Today, just reserve the the downtown for
Yes.
that event.
Yeah, and you can see it's an extended downtown area. Basically, I'm looking all the way up to Hempstead, and from 2nd Street over to B Street, that area. RAGBRAI will be bringing in their first aid, their merchandise trailers, those sort of things. There'll be a big media crew that will be here. You know, from a tourism perspective, like, you couldn't ask for something better to be handed to you. It does mean it's a lot of work. It wasn't on my bingo card for this year, but it is now.
So I'll make a motion to reserve the Central
Awesome.
Park for the CVB on July 26th.
And it's actually reserving it for the whole RAGBRAI committee. This is not a CVB event, this is a community
Oh.
event. And I'm working with Mendy from the chamber as well as several other people. So we're trying to keep this very community oriented and using as much local resources as possible.
Doesn't your motion need to be up through Hempstead?
Yeah,
Because it's,
okay. But you don't need anything on the 25th, do you, the night before?
We will need something on the 25th. I do think I put that in there, that we will need to set up the day before. Because we need to be pretty much ready by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
You want us to reserve it?
Yes. I put on there if I'm starting at noon on the
Well,
25th.
what is it you want? Yeah, ask exactly what you want, we'll give you that.
Yeah, on the 25th.
Okay,
It's on there.
okay, cool.
So I'll revise my motion to reserve Central Park from 7:25, what time?
At noon.
Noon, yeah, I see, noon on the 25th until 10 p.m. on the 26th for the RAGBRAI committee.
Second.
Okay, any more questions or discussion?
I have a question. So I'm curious, when do we, RAGBRAI's plan over for some time, when do we find out that we're coming through Fairfield? Just curious.
So I was actually given some advance information in March, but I was told I couldn't tell anyone.
Oh,
I was told, so I did tell Connie and Doug because I knew we were going to need some city involvement. And then it was announced officially last Thursday, and that was the official date that the public could know about it. So in the meantime, during that frame of time, we've set up a website and some support information so that when it was announced, we could sort of start funneling volunteers and different things to fairfieldragbrai.com. So,
But I think, like, my impression was that we were just hosting the support vehicles, not all the writers.
yes,
Right?
that
I
was,
thought they were
that-
going south of
Yeah,
town.
I had the impression we were going to get some of the riders, but not all of the riders. No, that has changed. We are getting all of the riders.
that's a
Yeah,
big
that's,
change.
that's a big change.
That's a big change. So, yeah, we're rolling with it.
Yeah, just gotta rise to the occasion, which Fairfield will do.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there'll be. We're already seeing people coming forward to volunteer and serve on committees, and there's a lot of moving parts. So obviously, there's a lot of questions we can't answer right now, but hopefully, we'll have those very soon. We will be coming back to council to pass some ordinances about vendors and that sort of thing, just to make sure that the event itself is being funded and that we don't have a lot of people just going off and doing vendor things that they.
No, I think it's a great thing for Fairfield, all that work. I hope with all those people coming in, bicycles, that we don't get too tired.
All right, the bike jokes are gonna just keep rolling along, aren't they? All right, thank you so much, council.
Did we vote?
No,
No, I got
Okay,
I got
so,
motions.
yeah, so we do have a motion and a second to close off the square, starting on the 25th at noon, going through the 26th, basically, for RAGBRAI. Okay, so go ahead and call the roll.
Flournoy,
yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Okay, and we do expect volunteers to, again, connect with Terry. FairfieldRAGBRAI.com, that's where you go. Okay. Resolution, action items, and ordinances. We have a public hearing on the matter of an addendum to the Northridge edition, so I'm going to open the public hearing and see if anybody wants to speak.
I do, and I think Martin does. Here's our situation.
Okay.
This is set to adopt a resolution approving the addition, but we've discovered a couple things. One is Mr. Brett bought this property late last year. At the time it was transferred, there was one piece of property that would have been excluded in the description that we didn't catch until after the fact. And that's on me representing the closing seller in that situation, but there's no problem between Mr. Brett and the seller. What the problem is there was one piece of property out of multiple description pieces that are part of our resolution that was not included in that whole group of properties because of SBA financing and a separate loan at a local bank. So that not being included, it needs to be included. The intention was to transfer it to Mr. Brett. There is a quitclaim deed with that correct description following this resolution, and that would be the property description that is intended to be added by addendum to this addition to the city. So the quitclaim deed that looks like it's from Canaan Fluid to Reef Grain and Feed, that particular description is what we would be putting back in by addendum for Mr. Brett. Now that's a pretty good summary of what we want to do to avoid having an island in the middle of his property there. So that being said, there's also a second interested group, which happened to be the campus, MIU administration, that has property parcels immediately adjacent to this. And it's where the old catfish place was. It was a fish restaurant, and it's where the old Pasha welding barn and parking lot was. And those things MIU would like to have as part of this addition also. Those descriptions exist right now and are in the hands of French Reniker. French Reniker believes they can crank out a combined addition amended description in the next few days so that it'll be available for the planning and zoning meeting yet in the next couple weeks. When that happens, we're back on track time-wise, isn't that correct, Martin, as far as still getting it done?
Yeah, I think that's the detailed version. The short version is we essentially withdraw what we've already brought in. We'll do another planning and zoning meeting as soon as we can, and we'll arrive there with a good plat from French Reniker. Everything will be vetted, and we'll include MIU at that point, which sort of has some benefits for me to do it all at once because of the way the subdivision process will be entering into later. So essentially, I would say let's not go any farther with this original annexation petition, and we'll just do it. We'll start with a new one, actually even starting with the P&Z meeting, which is the first step of all this.
So are you suggesting the next resolution we're not gonna do? Or we are gonna do?
We're not gonna do this resolution tonight.
Just abandon the resolution.
Yeah. Okay,
Right now.
I just wanted to be clear.
Rescind it then.
Yeah,
Correct.
rescind it, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll start over and
With
do a lot
the
neater.
annex of the first one, we rescinded.
Okay, okay, so this is a public hearing, so does anybody else want to talk about that? I don't think so. Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing, and then we can go on to,
We won't need any action item tonight is what it amounts to.
Right.
okay, but the next action item is Resolution 4244, which we're talking about the quitclaim deed and consideration of addition of addendum to Northridge addition.
Right.
I don't think you need to do that.
The quitclaim deed has been, yeah.
You're gonna reconstruct the whole thing and bring it back, so this is moot.
Okay,
Yeah, the
So-
deed's been done. It'll be added by French Reniker to the whole
Okay, so-
perimeter description.
yeah,
We just
so
need to rescind the
there's no
first
action
annexation.
item on this. Do we need to,
On the next meeting, we'll rescind the first annexation and then adopt this new one, I think.
so we're just gonna take no action on Resolution 4244, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And then we will move on. for the public hearing on the matter of the fiscal year 25 capital improvements plan. And so I will open the public hearing for the capital improvements plan. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And then we have a resolution, consideration of the fiscal year 25 capital improvement plan. And I guess, Council, are there any questions for Melanie or Doug or City Administrator? Seeing none? I think they're all looking at it. One more time. So who's ever ready to move to approve it?
I move to approve the fiscal year 25 capital improvement plan.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? Seeing none, go ahead and call the roll.
Gandy,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Okay, next up again is a public hearing on the fiscal year 25 budget. I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak on the budget? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And then we have the resolution for the fiscal year 25 budget. And as you can, let's see, just as a note, the levy will be 16.68565 coming up this next fiscal year. That's a little bit down from this current year, which is $16.92. So we've come down just a little bit, which is always good news. Doesn't mean your taxes are going down, just means the levy rate went down.
I make the motion that we adopt the fiscal year 25 budget.
Moved by Flournoy,
Second.
second by Gandy. Any other questions?
We do have the loss grants ready if you want those.
Isn't
listed.
that part of this
in the
budget?
They're included in the budget.
I don't think the actual recipients are they?
Should be.
they're included in the numbers.
In the numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't moved on the adopting the actual recommendations by name.
By name.
Are we going to?
We should, yeah.
Well, we usually do that as part of the budget process.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
It's just
it's-
part of the whole budget
We're
process.
approving the amount, so.
It's already in
this
the
is just-
budget, you can
yeah,
just
we-
call the
Yeah.
amount here.
Right, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. We've
Sure.
approved
Why
the
don't you,
amount,
yeah,
so.
so why don't you go ahead
we can
and.
say who the
and
recipients are.
Yeah, say who the recipients are,
For the public?
and we have a first and second, so after that, we can vote.
Okay. We did the normal recipients that we do every year that we kind of set money aside for public betterment. We do 75,000 for a police car, 3,000 in fire gear, 5,000 for the fireworks display. There's an additional 5,000 for parking lot repair at the library. There's some money there set aside for park and rec, for Heritage Playground, some equipment and flooring at the pool. Beautification Commission we do generally 12,500 for that each year. Fairfield Arts and Convention Center, the infrastructure for that. We set aside 100,000 for a fire truck each year, until we have enough to buy a new fire truck. And then another 37,000 is set aside for property tax relief that transfers into the general fund. And then the organizations or the nonprofits that request money are as follow. We had 12 of them that we recommended grants for. The first one is the Carnegie Museum Foundation, which was for 20,000 for window replacement and coverings for the windows. Fairfield Productions for 10,000 to do the sixth film in the series of the Fairfield historical series. And if you haven't seen any of those, I'd recommend watching some. They are great. The third one is for $3,750 for FASA, Fairfield Area Soccer Association. And this is to repair some, mostly vandalism, that was done to the concession stand and bathrooms out at the Dexter soccer fields. And that is a fabulous organization in town that hundreds of, I can't even fathom the number of kids that have gone through that program since they've started here in town. So if you're ever in town on a Saturday, just stop by there sometime. The place is just rocking out there. The next one is Fairfield Community Center, $10,600 for building maintenance. We do that each year with them. Fairfield Diamond Divas for $3,000, which is the pool tournament that's hosted, the professional female pool tournament that's hosted each year here. Fairfield First Friday's Art Walk, $15,100 to support 12 events spanning over 13 different days. The next one is the Fairfield Volunteer Center for Jefferson County Mental Health, $500 for marketing materials. Following that is $10,000 to Habitat for Humanity to help cover the cost in the next construction on North 9th Street. $2,500 to Live on the Square. This is the 20th year of free outdoor concerts that they've been doing downtown. $2,970 to Madsen Barnes Preservation Committee for the Escaramuza, if I said that right, show that they hosted last year. It got close to 300 in attendance, and they're hoping for a bigger show this year. And then the last one is $7,500 to Noah's Ark, which covers about 20% of their cost in just spaying and neutering alone. So.
Yep, great. Thank you for sharing all those. Any other additional questions, council? Not, we do have a first and second by Flournoy and Gandy to approve the upcoming year's 25 budget. So, no other questions? Judy? Nope, sorry. Feels like maybe you were
Just trying to see.
Yep. Then please call the roll.
You're fine. Flournoy,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Okay, now we have several ordinances. This is the third and final reading. The first one will be consideration to amend electric franchise fees. Again, this is the third and final reading. We are moving from 1% to 3%. I'll open a public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to ordinance 1240. Again, the third and final reading for to amend electric franchise fee from 1% to 3%.
I make the motion that we approve ordinance 1240 in the third and final reading.
Moved by Flournoy,
Second.
second by Gandy. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 1241, this is to amend our gas franchise fees, third and final reading from 1% to 3%. I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And council?
So moved.
Moved by Gandy.
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Ordinance 1242, this is to amend our water rates, going up for 2%. This is again the third and final reading. I'll open a public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Kness,
Second.
second by Toohill. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Kness,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Ordinance 1243, again, third and final reading. This is to amend our sewer rates to increase 5%. I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And again, this is ordinance 1243, third and final reading to amend sewer rates increasing 5%.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill,
Second.
second by Gandy. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Toohill,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 1244, third and final reading to amend recycling rates. Our current rates are $4.95, and this will go up to $5.62. I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to that? Seeing none. Everybody's understanding that all these rates have to increase, unfortunately. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Kness.
Second?
Second by Gandy. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Kness,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Okay, last one, ordinance 1245, consideration to amend solid waste rates. Third and final reading, we are going from $9.09 to $10.62. And I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to solid waste rates? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and council.
So moved.
Moved by Kness,
Second?
second by Gandy. Any discussion?
$10.62, you said?
Yes.
Sounds like the total, not the separate. Let's see.
The service charge for each dwelling unit shall be established by the ordinance adopted by the city council and may be required of the cost operating solid waste collection program effective July 1st, 2024. Such fee shall be $10.16 per month per household.
Okay.
Is it 62 or 16?
Well, it says 16 in the ordinance.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
If it
And she
says
said 60
16, that
she
must
said
be right.
62. It was just,
Yeah. Okay.
because I think it was $1.25 total between the two or something. Was
Okay.
about what
So
it came to. So, yeah.
I had it recorded
So I don't think it was
wrong.
that high.
Yeah, 1016, not 1062. My apologies. Thank you for catching that error. I was going by an old note from March, so that's my fault. Okay, so clarification. Again, this third final reading going from 909 to 1016 on solid waste rates. Motion to approve?
So
Oh, we already got it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Kness,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Great, thanks. Under the mayor's report, I don't have much. However, I want to just mention two things. Again, FairfieldRAGBRAI.com if you want to volunteer. Let Terry know you're interested in helping, and we will need lots of volunteers. If you have questions, she does have an email. That's ffragbrai@gmail.com. FF as in Fairfield. ragbrai@gmail.com. So if you have any questions you want to give to Terry, that's where you can email. I did get a resignation from Lou Bolster on the Beautification Commission. He has served 12 years. He thought he was going to serve for 3, I think. And he's resigning due to family commitments, and it's, you know, his priorities are changing. So, I was going to put it out here anyway that we, you know, our beautification commission has shrunk a little bit. We really do need some new volunteers. They're doing some amazing good projects and some really good work. So if you're interested in that area, please let me know. Or if you know somebody that would be good, please tell them or let me know and I'll reach out to them. But we do need a good handful of new volunteers for beautification commission. And I want to publicly thank Lou Bolster, pretty much everyone it seems like who goes on beautification does multi-terms, and it's a really good commitment, and just saying thank you is never enough. But I can't give him a gold watch, unfortunately. But thanks, Lou, publicly. Thanks all your work and your energy and time spent. We really, really do appreciate your work. So that's all I have. City Attorney report?
Just a couple things. There is some ongoing progress with our multiple dog case. And I think I'm just going to say that it'll be reviewed again at the end of April, and then also part of it is all the way back to the end of the summer. So we'll report to you on that later. There is a firehouse, a house that had a fire and was supposed to, within a time frame agreed to after a court hearing, obtained a demolition permit. At that same hearing, there were also supposed to be some things accomplished at the site. None of those have happened, so we're going to have a show cause hearing. To have the notice and the hearing, we're probably going to be end of April to early May. The things that were supposed to have happened were supposed to have happened by the end of February and the first week of March. So that's partly a situation where Weston was having some problems communicating and connecting with the owner of that property. He does have other places in town and lives here in town, but twice he's had continuances because he's busy. Our posture on that is, at some point, you're never too busy to take care of a nuisance property. The other property at 314 South D Street is a house who had a porch collapse earlier this winter. The owners both are in California right now. We just received a request for a continuance in the last couple days on that, and Weston and I are both kind of concerned that they're not taking us seriously. The matter's supposed to have had a trial, but then they consented to doing some things again by timelines. Those timelines were supposed to include by mid-March a contract for repairs and demolition of part of the property, the place where the porch had collapsed, and the attachment. The porch was an attachment to a push-out on the structure. At this point, it appears that more is happening to the building, and the city may have to just step in and take over demolition. There was a request made for a continuation in the last motion to the end of July. That's way past anything we were thinking would be reasonable from a mid-March promise that they would have a contract concerning either repair or demo. So in that situation, one of the owners in California is apologetic about it and just wants us to do what we need to do. The other owner is essentially, in my opinion, dodging us, and we're just going to have the court set it for a hearing, let them explain to the court. So you'll have a show cause concerning the house that's fire damaged. You'll have a hearing on why they need a continuance. There are some family law matters going on between the owners, but it's not something that's out in the public forum. So at this point, we'll have more to tell you about probably at the next meeting as far as how those things go. Other than that, for right now, and the only other thing I will mention is we had some force main difficulties over the last few days, and including, some of my neighbors had 12 inches of water in their basement, and it's the kind of thing where city has a form for it, you send it off to ICAP and you see if ICAP's sympathetic. But it ain't no fun having your basement with a foot of water standing around in it. It's not good smelling water, so I'll just say that for the benefit of any neighbors that happen to be tuned in. I think the city crew was very courteous about the way things were handled as they were out in front of people's houses at the manholes, basically explaining that it's not going down. Eventually it did. I think it's one of those things you never quite see coming, but we'll get it worked out. I'm not used to having to wear the same hat as the claimants, but my wife insists, so I just want you to know that's going on, and it'll be adjusted. ICAP usually gets involved as soon as they hear about it too, and I believe some of the people with claims have already had them turned in, so anyway, that's going on. But other than that, that's pretty much it, Your Honor.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Committee and board reports, public safety and transportation.
Okay. We had a very fast, full hour as we met Tuesday. The first thing that we did look at was what the council asked for us to review, the most recent version of the floor plan for the new fire station. And there's a lot of good points about this. I'm just going to cover a couple of them. We talked extensively about the public meeting room that is going to be a vital part of allowing a lot of different agencies to come together to work, such as if we had a train derailment or tornado or other things where you need several different state and local agencies all working together over an extended period of time, and what this is going to do to help all of us coordinate and have a central location where that can be ongoing. It's eye-opening to know that 2 weeks to 2 months is what it takes for some of these things to be brought back into a fullness again, and so that's a wonderful aspect of what the new fire station is offering, and also the decontamination area that is new and different, that our firefighters know that they can bring their equipment and their gear and everything in, and the showers and all the other. Maybe some of the rest of you had some high points of what you saw in the plan. I could go on and on, but I have other things, and I just want to hear if you, Matthew, would have, you were sitting there too. Did you have something that really stuck out to you about this plan that you heard this time that you might not have heard before?
By and large, I thought it was a fascinating breakdown of the building and all the thought that went into it. There's a new addition on the north side of the building with extra thick walling that is far more weather resistant than any other building in town. And
Yes.
so it could be possibly the last thing standing in a lot of situations, which means it really is built to handle any sort of disaster the city could face.
Right. One more thing, we did have some questions, and I think Melanie has some follow-up for us there, so.
I'll hand that to you.
Thank you.
Juan, I don't think I made you a copy, so sorry.
So one of the questions was where this floor plan fits into the budget that we've been using. So we've been using the $8.17 million budget, and so that number, the 8.1, 8.2 number includes a training tower, and that was what I was trying to check here before the meeting. So this option that you're seeing combines the training tower and the hose tower, which is going to save some space, save some wall, save some brick. But then, as we talked about, that in the months since the estimate was done in November to where construction costs are now, we're probably eating up any of those savings. So the email that I got from the architect says that yes, we're still relatively within the budget because we are going to see, we would see some savings with the change in the tower, but we're going to eat up those savings as well. They haven't turned around and crunched the numbers, but she felt like our assumptions that we had made in the meeting were correct. And so I passed out and this is the budget that we used during the city budgeting process, as well as what I've been using for the grant applications. You have the top part that are the numbers that we have or know, and then the bottom part are funds that you guys have approved, and then there's a third part to the bottom which says funds to be established. And and Jason, it's not attached, sorry, but when I say the funds to be established, that means as a council you have not approved them, but they're in the CIP. The SURF for fiscal year 26, that was set aside in the CIP. So even when you approve the CIP, you're approving the fiscal year that we're getting ready to start, but I'm still thinking that, next year and the year after that. So I don't want you to think that we don't have those funds. They're just not official. to the point like when I submit Washington County, I have to actually submit the resolution showing that you guys have approved the funds. And so those on the bottom part, I don't have resolutions attached to them. So that's where those are. And so like with Washington County, we've requested $450,000. Marinette Miller Meeks turned that in about a week ago for a $1.3 million request on that. So been busy. There's a farm credit services for $25,000. So we'll start. There's a lot of smaller grants coming up that we'll submit for fixtures and furnishings, lockers, tables, those kinds of things that add up quickly. That we'll start applying for those things that serve well in those smaller grants.
I think that answers that, because that was our question about where we stood with the budget, and then also wanting to know what this actual square footage is. That's our other question of just how the actual sizes. So those are coming in even as we've been asking for them. So another point I want to make about this fire station yet too is the mutual aid opportunities that the tower and the other things here are going to give us to accommodate surrounding fire departments as well, to be able to come and train together with our fire department and with others. Also then sharing what they all know in experiences and things as well, so that we just strengthen each other in the mutual aid that is going on, and having opportunities for those who might not necessarily have budgets as large as ours to get further training in some things. So that's another aspect of this awesome fire station. So the next, oops, better not set these aside. We went on and discussed just some things that Melanie and Joe Hurd made a list of during this last winter. And so we sat down and had a conversation with those present at the meeting, just talking about the snowstorm and our policies and our ordinances just governing over. So the Public Works Policy 2022-2 is the City of Fairfield snow and ice control policy. And basically this is just saying what kinds of services that people working and owning property or living here or being here during such a thing, what they could expect. On the second page of that is a level of services, and that's broken into three priority levels. The first one including, which major streets would be always the ones that we would clear first with a singular path to begin with, and then going curb to curb as soon as we could with those routes and keeping those open because they're so vital. And just other conditions during that first priority where that needs to be. Second being those designated then the next level going out from those. And then third priority would be more like alleys and other things that just need to be cleared as the last move to really remove the snow and things as much as possible so that business and livelihoods can go on. Oh, the one thing that we did in this meeting, the recommendation would be that we would add the alleys in the central business district to the priority one. And so we are just basically telling you that that is what has been done to add that in, so that that was one of the things noticed, and that change then you can expect at that time. Other alleys are not necessarily cleared by the city, but those we felt are part and vital to just the commerce and the traffic that needs to flow. The next thing was a request from Southgate to, they were asking if they could be notified when the crews were coming through, because they had paid for their driveways and things to be cleared, and then, you know, as the plows come through and do the curb to curb, it tends to push it back into those driveways that they have already cleared out. At this point, the motion was that we are leaving things stand as they are, just because most homeowners are hiring the private contractors who try to do a very good job of getting in there before our crews come through, so that all that snow and things, they're trying to move it out as far, away, but having it cleared so that it's free and clear. Obviously, when they come that second time and do that second pass that takes it clear curb to curb, there's another one, and so it's that push back and forth as we're all trying to.
That was a request from the HO, is there an HOA down there?
Yes, there
So
is.
that was a request from the HOA then?
Yeah. And
We just felt that we couldn't begin to do that for each little, I don't want to say little.
No, 'cause we all have the same problem.
Each separate, yes, each separate part of our community would then begin asking for special requests. And we just felt like, you have both public and private all working those same hours and trying to get this all moved at the same time. It would be a great inconvenience and slow people down, everybody down, if we tried to set what we're going to do at any given time. Throughout our conversation over the 4 given areas, one of the things that kept coming up over and over is that very thing of, trying to get back on the track. No two snows are the same, and the climate, some you have wind with, others you don't necessarily have that as much as it's icy or other things, or the temperature's going up as opposed to going down. And so a lot that's going on with the whole climate around a particular snowfall. Even though we might have 3 inches, it might be gone very soon. We may get only an inch, but the temperatures are staying low, and the bitter cold comes, just other things. So that was all factoring into everything that we were discussing over and over again, even as we're talking about personnel or even the assistants, and that's where I'm going with the next. We were talking about Ordinance 1184. Ordinance 1184 brought some cohesiveness to a number of our ordinances. And the first thing we were discussing, particularly with the snowstorms that we just experienced, was the need for towing according to our ordinances. Establishing how often we tow, when we're going to tow, even the hours and all of that. So the first thing that was pointed out is there are fewer vehicles needing to be towed, but the other part was these back-to-back snowstorms really showed the amount of time and energy that we're putting into moving vehicles, and the amount of people that requires both public and private to be doing that. And the question was if it's efficient and effective all the way around. Because, for instance, the police chief spoke of needing to move some cars. Now, they do have a list of those who are contractors working with them to move vehicles that need to be moved, right, for public safety. But, I had it in my head, now I'm getting the letters mixed up. RPM, out on the west side of town, is one of those, and they do respond within that 5 to 10 minutes that our law enforcement need to be there. but they've also worked a full day's job, and then they're out there at 2 or 3 in the morning, moving vehicles as well. But they were there because they didn't want more, the officers there for a long period of time too. They're aware of that budgeting going on. So, those are the things that we're looking at is it efficient to be moving vehicles that have been parked somewhere, even if it's around the square or other places, because people just found a safe place for their car to stop because it was time to get off the road. Joe Hurd entered into that part of the conversation and was talking about the crews don't have a problem with knowing that they're working around those kinds of things. If a car, and they said quite often vehicles are getting towed, but then somebody else just comes and parks right back in where they just removed some others. So these are things that are, finely balanced. And the question was, could we look at our towing policies and so that led us into the hours and other things, how much time they're spending on that instead of actually doing the other road work that they would rather be doing, of keeping more roads open and cleared. So in that balance, we felt at this time, since we are encouraging people to, and that all people, and that includes landlords and others who could help people who are living in their buildings know where they could move their vehicles into the public parking lots, into a safe place, and so that it's off and out away from the streets, and they don't have to keep removing their car unless they need it daily. And then also, we talked about the hours when the street department is generally towing, and the hours so far have been 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. And so we recommend that would be changed to 4 to 6 a.m., a smaller time period, so the public actually knows when they would be generally doing that kind of work and getting that done. And so that the no parking hours would be reduced and changed during that time. Other things that frustrated and caused complaints, the expectations shift and change because someone's vehicle has now been towed. And so trying to meet all of those. So there is discussion that there would be a desire for and hope to see in the future some type of text system where people could report in, but also there could be some messaging for staff to go outward in helping alleviate some of that, a better system. Because the question was even asked, is it efficient if someone moves their vehicle to one of the public parking lots and calls dispatch in the midst of their busyness to report that they have moved their vehicle there? I said it's never convenient when you're a dispatcher because everything's always coming at once, but it is better to have that information and know that it was intentionally left and that you can leave a phone number with them so that communications can still continue on at a later date when it's time for those public parking lots to be cleared out. We also talked about that business around the square has a different attitude than what it did even 10 years ago or 20, where people wanted everything cleared out and away efficiently, or not efficiently, they were concerned about the street front look of their businesses much more than we feel that attitude is there today. And so we have questions along with staff about what do the downtown business owners want compared to past generations, because it doesn't seem that it's as time sensitive, because we don't have as many clothing stores. We have more restaurants and other things there on the square. So now that we are talking about the downtown improvement, this was a point that kept coming up about wanting to know where their thoughts are about if cars are left in front of their store for a day or two when we have the type of snows that we just experienced. What Melanie felt is there was a lot of grace going through this, because it was almost a whole different thing than just a normal snow, where people are out and about, and they were helping each other along a lot and helping all of our crews and things as much as they could. So with, let me get my other piece of paper here in front of me. With this particular thing, what we felt as a committee, the recommendation to the council from this committee would be looking at that no parking hours from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. That helps our crews efficiently move those vehicles that need to be moved just for safety's sake. And encouraging, and this I have made notes for tourism, the wayfinding signs for people from out of town to be finding those public lots, and also talking with Mendy about some of the things that we could be working with the businesses on as that goes forward. The next part of the 1184 was the confusion over the 2-hour parking limits in the central business district because of the signs, and that was pointed out as people were calling in to the radio station, and that discussion was going on. Oh, Melanie stepped out. The question was particularly when there's no available parking in downtown lots, about that. There's a difference between the day hours and the night hours, but the sign seemed to be confusing of which times those were. So we have talked about removing those that are no longer, or that are causing that confusion, and talking about what could be put in their place or not at all. Because we do have it in an ordinance, but we wouldn't necessarily have to have it on this street sign. And that 2-hour parking limit signs then would be removed from the square, but nowhere else in the central business district. So this, just one more note here. The final point then would be the down utility lines that were experienced. So it became quite clear to our crews that there are actually lines that are no longer even being utilized by some of the utilities. And at this point, both the city administrator and the public works director would like to spend asked us for some time to be able to make some contacts with the utility companies and work through some of these things by conversation about what we can do for the future. Because one of the things that really slowed them down is, they needed to barricade things off. They had to find out whose lines these actually were that were down, and then try to bring people in to help alleviate the situation. And they felt that it was really slowing things down. So they want to have those conversations to see what we can do to better, whether we mark the lines somehow or have a better conversation about those even as we go forward with some of the utility companies. But we want the staff to be able to build those conversations right now. So we're not making any recommendation on that one at this time. We're just giving you the heads up of what we're discussing here as they go forward with what they are doing. I know there's a lot. I hope that if you have some questions here, you can ask. So,
Well, I'll just add a little comment about particularly Southgate, because I was involved in some of that conversation. I got
Okay.
called by one of the homeowner's family member, and I think the amount of snow certainly was an issue, and so the city went through, didn't completely open up the street, from curb to curb. So they did one pass,
They did
right?
one
Of course,
pass.
that pushed snow into the driveways. Their private contractor pushed it out. Then they came through again, or we came through again.
And that's the curb
Pushed
to
it out
curb.
further, put more snow in their driveway. They had their private contractor push it out again, and then we came a third time. So that's when we got the ire up from family members, and particularly some of those people are in their 80s and 90s, and they were concerned their car would get stuck, and or if an ambulance
right.
was needed, would they be able to get in? That particular day we were having warmer weather, so we determined that it was ultimately going to be okay, but I basically ended up having that discussion with a couple of both the family member and then one of the owners out there. And again, I appreciate you guys talking about it, because I said it would get discussed, because I had a discussion with Melanie, and was we're gonna kind of do a wrap up once the season is over, and the circumstances in this case were unusual because of the amount of snow. But you can see the frustration too of you keep pushing
Totally.
snow back into my driveway and I can't get out. So
Yes.
So that's where the frustration came, just
Yes.
as
Well,
kind of
and-
a side note, a clarification for council members.
Yes, and I was keeping that in my mind too. Even as I went out and moved snow, I kept saying, I can't do this like I used to be able to do this.
Right.
And thinking of my own parents as we were going through those weeks and wondering how they were going to be faring where they lived. So, again, not a perfect world, but what we saw was that grace and helping each other out in ways that get pretty amazing at times. But what we just felt is we couldn't promise that phone calls and things would be happening, and we just wanted the crews to be able to know and gauge their best way of operating throughout the city, and just didn't feel we could set that precedent at this time. So, thank you.
Okay, administrator and department reports.
Before I begin with this report, I wanted to add, could we discuss moving forward with the fire station after we've had this discussion, so that we could go into, are we ready for final design, or?
With the council action a couple weeks ago was to review the floor plan, and then you sent it back to public safety. So now that public safety has reviewed the floor plan, I guess we would like kind of council's permission or backing to move into the bidding phase of the project. Although we don't legally need to do this step, given how big the project is and how long it's been going on, we do want to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. So we would like that action item.
We haven't approved this floor plan yet,
Correct. It's been recommended by the committee.
so I'd recommend that or make the motion that we approve this floor plan as submitted.
Second.
Okay, So move in second to accept this floor plan for the fire station. Are there any questions or discussion?
We're approving it and we're planning on going ahead with the preliminaries for the next process to get it bid.
Yes, yeah, to, not, well, and I wouldn't call it preliminary, I would call it final design, because they'll start the, finalize the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the detail sheets in order to do it. They have the generic, the bathroom layouts and those kinds of things that are similar from project to project, and they'll start on the details to get us to that final bidding stage.
Timeline, your riverboat grant request, when will we have an idea on that?
That's normally within like a month after submitting it. I think we would probably know about the riverboat grant before Jefferson County Foundation is due.
Okay.
And I want to
And,
say
Greater Jefferson is July or June 1st. So do we have a grant to go to them yet?
I have lots of grant applications on my computer, so we'll pick one of them to submit. Well, and what we've been submitting for grants is the community room and just kind of generically speaking, because of all the things we talked about, that it can be used for the emergency management side, it can be used as a community room for a group to rent out. It's used for firefighter training, and because it's used for so many different things, that's kind of what we've been doing for a lot of the applications, is focusing on that. The Miller Meeks was the community room plus the tower. It was everything, but the things we really talked about was the community room.
Greater Jefferson has been particularly receptive to those projects that seem to also have been popular community projects. Each of what I'm thinking, the recent bonds, like the library, the fire station's probably our most popular bond issue with 75%.
Yeah.
They, in each of those situations, were receptive to a request for pledge over years.
Okay.
So,
yeah, and I can definitely talk with you when we get ready to submit stuff. I'll say, since Bob's here tonight, I did include some of a capture of his Facebook posts with the Miller Meeks grant to show that we had community backing, and his link to his YouTube video, because we did have so many people come out during the referendum. People like Bob too that supported it, and so I really seriously included his Facebook post in the Miller Meeks application to show the support of the community.
Okay.
So you're exactly right.
all right.
Any other discussion? Not, the motion is to approve this floor plan and move it to final stages. So seeing no other questions, let's call the roll.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Doolittle,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And thanks for all the ideas and work on this floor plan. It's been I think, improved at each step of the way, so. Okay, back to the administrator report.
So we had the budget public presentation. I think it went very well. I had a lot of good feedback from the public and from department heads. They really appreciated the opportunity to talk about what they've done and how they do it. I would like some feedback from the council. I've got some from the public of what they would like to see differently, but maybe how we can improve that if we want to do this year after year. But I think it worked really well, and people were excited, and it gave the staff an opportunity to show everybody what we're made of. So hopefully that will move forward, and I'll keep everyone updated. And people are watching that on YouTube, and it's had over 100 views since the last time I looked. At there might be more. Highway 1, I don't want to steal Melanie's
I didn't write anything, so go ahead.
thunder, but her and I went out to look at Fillmore and Highway 1. That intersection's completely closed. They're very, very close, so in the next 2 weeks we should be down to punch list items, just curb and what have you, but Fillmore we should be pouring next week to wrap that up and get that intersection back open, and then we'll just be doing the painting and inspections. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. But I've had some complaints about Fillmore being closed, but we'll get there. We're almost done. So then we have Crow Creek Bridge. So, but it'll be the last time we have to do some of these things for the next 50 years, right? We've been having a neighborhood revitalization meeting. It's a new committee that's been put together, and more are coming together, talking about micro homes and cleaning up properties. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about it in case some people are not aware that we're doing this. And I was invited, so this has been kind of a collective without my guidance, and they're doing wonderful. But now we're bringing more and more people together. They're focusing on cleaning up properties, but divesting some of these properties from the homes that we're tearing down. And again, we're going to fold this in with the property committee meetings of what we do and how we do it. Where are we? What are we doing? But the big thing that they're looking for is that we've been talking about frequently is micro homes. We're moving away from the tiny home language to a micro home. But is it, since it's being so new and what we do and how we do it, that I want to keep updating you and letting you know that these conversations are being had, and I'm not real sure where
This
we're...
is a citizen group, right, that came to you, correct?
That is correct. Well, FEDA's involved, and so there's more and more. And again, still new to Fairfield, so some of these actors I don't know, but they're good partners, and they're kind of guiding the ship. So that's on the forefront. 504 South 6th Street is being demoed. It started this week, I believe. They was doing some preliminary work. Say that again?
I think he was wanting to, yes.
Yeah. So once that is done, I would ask that that property go to property committee to see what the next step is to what are we doing with that? Are we going to sell it? Are we going to give it? Are we going to put something on it and then sell it? But as these properties come in, I would like to see them go out, because once we have them, we have to mow them. We have to be held to the same expectations that we hold our own citizens. So we need to start acting quickly, because springtime's going to be coming, and then here we go. We have this piece of property. So I would recommend that.
Did you talk to, is it Brown's Excavation that has the bid for the 504 South 6th Street demolition?
Have I talked to them?
Yeah, about the sidewalks.
Yes.
What did you find out about?
So there's a change order.
We haven't approved it yet.
It's within Doug's,
Sorry?
it's within Doug's ability to approve.
Yeah, change
It's like
order.
$300 or something.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
it?
it's
okay.
very
I just wanted to know,
minimal.
that someone had brought it up to me, and
Yes.
just want to make sure it had been taken care of.
Yeah, that was brought up after we bid it out. So
Yeah.
there was.
That's why I'm asking.
Yes, so there's a change order for that, and then I think that they should disappear as well, so that we have a blank slate. Then I had a property owner, apparently 1905 and 1901 West Burlington. This property owner has apparently been cited in the past, and they would like for us to they want to work with the city to make sure that they're complying with all of what our expectations are. But this is the conversation with this particular property is what I see is I'm not real sure how we should approach this particular business, because it's a tire shop, and I would like the property committee's guidance. I'm actually going to go out to the site and kind of look. I have to abstain from a personal opinion. I'm going to present facts, but this property owner has reached out to me and says, listen, whatever you guys want to do, I want to do it within these means, and I would like to be able to go out there, but then have that guidance of, Doug, these are the expectations that the city should have, and so that I'm consistent in any sort of conversations that I may have. I don't know that it's appropriate, but I wouldn't mind having, a member of the property committee go with me, just to have a conversation and say, this is what we're looking at. Sitting in here or sitting in my office is completely different than actually going out into the field, and I do this a lot. But to get perspective so that we can come back and communicate that, because I really want to work with everyone if I can.
Doug, can you give us an example of what they've been cited for?
Disorganizations of, let's say, tire rims that are in the public view, or that they have tires that are too far in the city right-of-way. Is that a side triangle issue? The organization of, one of those things that in the code, it's so generic that, are these tires collecting water or mosquitoes and, unsightliness. But when I drive by, I see an organized business that is a tire shop that deals in agriculture, tires that people aren't going to steal, and, but some of the other tires that I think that they keep out of sight, but I actually want to go look and then pass along those expectations of the city, because I don't want to disrupt a business that is successful and is providing for the community. But then maybe we can offer some guidance. Maybe we need to put up privacy fences, what have you. So that's kind of what we're looking into. I don't want to. Whatever we have with the expectations with this particular business, we need to have it with the next one. So that's where we're at.
They were cited, but they weren't fined.
No.
Okay.
And that's the issue is we want to, especially if they're willing to work with us, we don't want to go down that path. And we want to avoid that. We just have a conversation with them and say, this is what we expect and this is why.
So property committee is Florna, Gandy, and Esty. So I'm looking to you, Doug. Either if you could go with him, or get one of your members to go with him, or however you want to do it.
Just call me up. Let's figure it out.
Okay, very good. I think there was something else, but I think that's all I have for tonight.
Great, thank you. I think that's it. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill, second by Ham. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Is that
Great.
Iowa time?
Thank you, council. Meeting adjourned.
That's our advertising those times.